Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about Carol. Carol, the CEO of UPS. I did a little research on her background, her experience, her net worth. And you know what? She seems like a good leader. She's proven, man. So I don't know how you're going to mess with them and their strategy over the next 3 years. So as I'm taking my walk, I just want to let you know that I believe her name is Tome, Carol Tome. So I looked up the board of directors first. There's 13 board of directors at UPS. 5 are women. Carol is the leader. Carol's background is finance. She's been chief financial officer at Home Depot. After a 25-year tenure, she retired. She was board, I believe it was 2019, and she was on the board at UPS since 2003. So as she retired, she must have really maxed out. She's got a high net worth, of course. Sounds like she's married, and she might have adopted some children, according to Google. So in the meantime, I'm starting to think about the leadership, and why is everybody so pissed off at her? You know, because I think she's got the qualifications. She's got the qualifications to lead this UPS in this transition. And she was at 2003, and then she became the CEO of UPS after she retired from Home Depot. Believe me, with big bucks. And I think she took on the challenge in 2020. She became the CEO. So she's had a 5-year gig, and she's experienced some great growth there. So that's the reason why she's buying at $85 a share, when she's seen some tremendous growth and she benefited from that. And so now with the downsizing of Amazon, I understand it, because I was part of 3M when 3M downsized from 3M to iMation. And when they downsized iMation, they call it a spinoff. When they spun that off, it was like $3-4 billion back in the day. And I was there and I saw it, and I saw how the people reacted. And they also got a buyout or severance pay. They had options, or you stay. Well, some people were happy, some weren't. And the biggest reason why people are hesitant is because of their fear of the culture. Culture is a big thing, because if you're a long-term employee of UPS, a long-term driver, you know, they had hopes of being millionaires and being there for life. Well, times change, man. And what Carol's trying to do, Carol CEO, I like that, Carol CEO. Carol is cutting the costs tremendously, and they're focused on only profitable business. So if that means cut back the costs, the people, the attrition, severance pay, buyouts, cutbacks, they don't give a fuck about the Teamsters. This is all about profit, man. Okay? So even though they might not have the revenue of the 80 to 90 billion a year, even if it's 70, but you could have more profit. And that's one of the reasons why they're still offering a 7% dividend to the shareholders. And those 13 board members, these are smart people, man. They're running other companies. You can look them up. I know IBM is one of them, and you know, you look up, just go Google and say board of directors for UPS. You're going to see some really sharp people. And most of them are what? They're business leaders with financial backgrounds. This is all about finance, man. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. So, if I were in that position, I'm just saying, because some people respond to my YouTubes and all that and say, Rock, you're a piece of shit and you don't know what you're talking about. These are actual people that are so loyal and so committed to their past in their community. I've seen that. I know friends of mine that were at companies for 33 years. In the meantime, They were a public company, and they ended up selling to a private equity group. And he would take the blunt of the cutbacks, the cut and pay, the what's the other thing? No benefits. And they were a public company, and the leadership was selected, and they were not only incompetent, or they were incompetent. They weren't skilled. They didn't know how to build a business. And a lot of these guys at the upper echelon, it's all about their contracts. They call them golden parachutes. So in the meantime, you have to start looking at this. So going back to what I'm thinking. If I was there, I looked at my personal at UPS. And I'm a long-term employee. And I get all the benefits. I get great pay. I get all this stuff. Okay? I would be looking at what would it take if I left. First of all, what is the offer? And how does that compare to my income, my revenue? You have to look at that and say, okay, because the UPS strategy is another 2 years. They started in 2024. 2025. They got 2026 because Amazon will be completely out in 2026. Then they're into 2027. So they got a 3-year game plan. Now, will Carol be there? Carol CEO for this? Damn right she's going to be. She's 68. 68 is, in a way, prime. And that's the reason why she's investing another $1 million on the day that people were offered to take it. Now, everybody said, oh, nobody's taking it in my hub. Nobody's taking it. How do you know? Nobody knows. They've already cut back, 75 facilities? Nobody bitched about that, did they? And they're going to consolidate? No, they're going to make changes, man. They're counting on this. And it's not over. Now they extended it. It's like Trump extending the tariffs to China. I mean, there's always compromise. And what are the Teamsters doing? They're trying to figure out how can they stop this Titanic. They can't. They can't. And these leaders and this board of directors and this management, they have a mission. And that mission is to cut, and raise the profit. Raise the profit. Not the revenue. The profit. That's the reason why they're offering a 7% dividend, because they know they already got that. Because if you look at their numbers, they're still growing with profit. Now, they got the fear of God in all these employees. But going back to what you, as a long-term employee, you have to start looking at your personal situation. Just like UPS is looking at. How much, they're going to say, well, I'm trying to think here. How much debt do you have? How much do you have discretionary dollars? Do you have a game plan if you took the deal? Could you work somewhere else? You have to look at all that. Look at your age. You know in a year or two, the same thing's going to happen. Especially for young. Even if it's more. How much more is it going to be? 10%? 20%? What if you took the money, took the buyout, and hopefully you had a few bucks, you reinvest in the UPS? Because it's only going to go up. I'm talking about the shares. And if you're in a retirement stage, you're still going to get benefits. You might have a career somewhere else that you might even enjoy more, or do something that is more of a purpose for you. So there's a lot of options. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of options that you could look at. So I'm in the middle of taking my walk here, and it's a sunny day in Florida, and I'm taking my walk. So I'm just saying to myself, wow, you know what? I think Carol has got the right strategy. If I looked at myself as an investor, I would say, you know what? She's doing a good job. And we have nothing to lose except for growth and the 7% dividend, no matter what happens. I think a lot of people take their careers as personal. I've been in business for 50 years. I take it personal. I have high expectations. But there's always a decision financially what to do, what not to do. But I'm accustomed to change as an entrepreneur with 8 different careers, including YouTube, in 50 years. And I've shifted money everywhere. when it comes down to long-term investment. So that's what you got to look at. Now, have I always been employed? No, but I always had to come up with a way of getting employed somehow, some way, especially as a consultant. As a consultant, you gotta do the hunting, you gotta do the closing, and you gotta perform what your services are. You gotta be in demand, and there's high expectations from clients. So that's what Carol's going through is, oh, you want me to do a great job? Since 2003, does she have the experience? Does she know the business? You're fucking right, she knows the business. And she's taking advantage of it. And she's helping the investors. Does that have anything to do with the Teamsters? Sure it does. They're taking that into account. But that's where lawyers come in. That's where negotiations come in. But look who you're dealing with. You're dealing with Teamsters. You're talking about blue-collar guys. Sure, they have attorneys. But man, when you're dealing with Carol, CEO, and 12 other shareholders, that's trying to make a decision, whether it be married or not married. And there's going to be change. And they got the time to be sustainability. Do you have the time as a driver? So when I get these FUs to Rock about, Rock, you don't know what you're talking about. No, I just know what I'm talking about as I did my due diligence on Google on UPS. Now, Rock, would you invest in UPS? That's a long shot because I like other investments, UPS, I don't want to wait around for 3-5 years, Yeah, it's long term, but still, I like more techie stuff and more of a what should I say? A return on investment that I see, and this is what my father would teach me as I learned how to invest in public companies. It was always about the balance sheet. I don't have time for the balance sheet. I just look from the outside, and then if I was interested in UPS, I would send it to my analyst at my investment bank and say, what do you think? What does the bank feel about this? What does the analyst think about this investment? Is this a buy or a sell or a hold or whatever it is? And I don't think they would recommend. They'd have other choices, you see? So I'm sure a lot of the drivers don't have an analyst or a bank at their fingertips or a financial advisor that they would trust with their money. We call that PM, personal money. Most people, like the UPS board, they're dealing with OPM, other people's money. But they're strategic. They're strategic. They're taking risks to say no more Amazon after a couple years. But it makes sense. I looked up Google the reasons because a lot of this is public information. So you can look that up, man. So, all the people that say, Rock, you're screwed, nobody took the deal, I don't believe any of that because I don't think it's true. I think it's all in the numbers, they're waiting, and there's a strategy. It's just like I said, Trump waiting for going back to the table and renegotiate the deal. It's all about negotiation, a win-win. Could they change the contract? Sure they could. They could put a hold on it. They could say, you know what? We're not making enough money. Or they could say, listen, we're going to cut back, but we're going to give these drivers stock options. Think about that. And I wouldn't be talking as an individual. You can't go in there with the team, the union, the Teamsters, and say all or none. No. You're independent, man. You created your life independently, and now you have a choice. So you got to think this through. And the reason why I went on YouTube for this is because I'm getting too many people contacting me about, Rock, what would you do? Or Rock, you don't know what you're talking about. No. I said, well, if I were them in this position, I would do my due diligence, and I would wait and say, okay, Is it going to drop down to 50 like when Carol took over, or in 2003? The word is their stock was at $50 a share. Then it went up to 148 or something during her tenure. Now it's down to what, 80, 86? It makes sense. And you know what? She's got the staying power. She sees everything. This is insiders. And who's buying? The insiders. The insiders are buying at 86 because they see the future. They see for the next 3-4 years. You know, this is what's going to happen. They understand. Are they going to replace Amazon? Sure, somehow. Are they going to get specialized? Sure. USPS is in there too. Don't forget about USPS. They're trying to poach the UPS guys. There's a great option. 20 years at UPS, 20 years at USPS, couple pensions, great benefits, but can you physically do it? See what I mean? So listen, I got to fly now because I got to go do some more videos, but I hope this helps. And some of this I'm going to throw on other social media because I'm being watched by investors, blue-collar guys, blue-collar millionaires, white-collar guys, white-collar recession layoffs. It's not done, man. We're only talking August. Wait till the end of the year. And they've already said they're going to have another pass in March of 2026. I'm talking about UPS. What do you think's going to happen between now and March? A lot. I kind of look at it this way. If I were a UPS driver with that tremendous track record of 20 plus years benefits and this kind of money, it's a bird in hand versus two in the bush. You're getting free money, man. So you have to be strategically set and really look at your financial situation and know your taxes. Get a tax advisor or a financial advisor, somebody you really trust that's licensed, you know, not your brother or brother-in-law or whatever. Have a firm that even if you pay a certain percentage, you know, of that or a fixed fee, you'll do fine. And don't forget, nothing lasts forever. Your health is the most important thing. And these guys that are there less than 10 years, it's a big decision. But if they don't even like their job and there's pressure and the culture sucks, Carol's not going anywhere, man. In fact, she's thinking she's doing a great job. And you know what? Shareholders and the board of directors are saying she is. They're making money. You know, the more cuts, the better. Even if they lose business like Amazon, their profits are up. That's all they care about right now. God bless you. I'll talk to you soon.